Well, here we are. A massive welcome to all of our subscribers, first-time viewers and LinkedIn watchers for a one-off special where I'm going to be joined today by Gideon Hazam, the co-founder, chief operations officer and chief security manager of Memcyco, to hear all about their innovative approach to cybersecurity. But before we bring him on, and for those new to the channel, I'm your host, Simon Linstead, and by sharing stories and best practices over the last few months, it's led to nearly 200,000 views here on YouTube by you, our amazing 9,304, I believe, subscribers. So a huge thank you for your engagement. And if you'd like to support the wider InfoSec Live community, or indeed just buy me a cheeky decaf coffee, we do have a way you can show your appreciation here on the channel with 3 tiers of membership, allowing you to show your support in any way that you can. But whether you join or not, being here and engaging with our content is what really matters. So if you enjoy it, please hit that thumbs up button. And if you're watching this live, please drop any comments or questions you have in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer them all during the show. Okay, excited for this one. Chatted to Gideon a few times off camera, as it were, and this solution is very, very exciting. So without further ado, let's bring him on. Welcome.
Hey Simon, how are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. I think there's a bit of a lag my end on the video feed, so I'm hoping that isn't coming across to everyone watching it. But if you can drop me in the comments and let me know. I'm really excited to hear more about what Memcyco are doing, Gideon. But before we do that, do you mind just giving our audience a bit of background about yourself?
Yeah, sure. By the way, I have this delay on my screen as well, so I don't know why. But anyway, my background. So it's really going back 40 years back now in the high-tech industry, being involved in, big enterprises on one hand, but most of my career was mainly in the startup industry. So along with my colleagues, which I'm going to present very soon, we've been involved in establishing startups in different categories, but mostly in the security area, but also in performance and some other communications and some other area as well. So without getting into the age thing, it's been nearly 40 years now that we are in the business.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that, Gideon. And I suppose the next question really is, well, the first question is, why is there a delay? Hopefully that will correct itself soon. I've just done a speed test mind and it seems to be okay. So hopefully it's just a quick glitch. But what is it that led you to identify the problem that Memcyco solves?
So it's a good point. 3 years back, we gathered, and let me maybe share my screen for a second just to show and present my fellows. Let me do this quickly here. Just a second.
There we go. Okay. Tell me when you're ready and I'll add it on.
Can you see my screen now?
I can put it up. It's your face on there at the moment, so I haven't put it up on the screen until you've got it on the bit you want it on.
I have it.
You got it?
Yeah.
Here we go. Oh. It looks like lots of us on the screen at the moment, Gideon, so I'm not sure if it's the right screen that's being shared.
So let me
take that off. Let me take that off for a sec. Whoop.
Okay, let's do it without sharing. So
okay.
Basically, we're a group of four founders that, as I said, we spend most of our career together. And and 3 years ago, we gather again, and we spend about 6 months meeting, interviewing CISOs, CTOs, CEOs, all C levels, basically, in different sectors, different locations, and the agenda was to try and understand what are the major challenges that they have when it comes to phishing attack on their brand. Um, and basically, after spending 6 months in this research, we came up to three main conclusions. The first one was that the one of the major challenges is to know in real time that there is a phishing attack on your brand. Not
Yeah.
only knowing that there is a phishing attack on the brand, but also knowing that who are the end customers, the end users. If you're a bank, your customers that were exposed to the phishing attack, and that is huge blind spot nowadays, and that was one of the major challenges that we were getting from all these interviews. And as a result of that, once we know who are the end customers, how we protect them, how we stop them on time before falling victim into the attack. So these are the three main challenges that we've been, discovering, researching, and ultimately come with a solution to address it.
Can
Uh,
I just quickly jump in? So I've only been in the industry for a few years now, but your approach is definitely innovative because what other companies seem to do is get an idea that they think's really good, build it, and then try and sell it to everyone. So it's really refreshing to hear that you've done it the right way round and actually asked people the questions first.
Yeah, yeah, and again, probably this is our, based on the experience that we have had during the years. So we said, okay, let's do it right, and we spent that time researching and analyzing. Eventually, we had this idea, and we have these challenges, and we said, okay, let's build this up. So we basically at the beginning we run as a bootstrap. We basically did not get any funding from the external VCs or whatsoever, and we developed this solution by ourselves. And after nearly a year, we had a POC ready, so we can demonstrate, we can test, and we can evaluate the solution. And this is what we did. Eventually, we met with different customers, mainly in the financial sector, by the way, at the beginning, and this was great success right away because the minute we were installed, and I'm going to elaborate later on how we do this, but the minute we were installed, we basically discovered everything we promised to the customer. And that was really the breaking point on which we start to grow, hire more people, building the great development team, and basically growing the company, including funding and so on.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize you'd stopped talking because on my screen you're still speaking, Gideon. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think
Yeah.
that somehow this delay is a bit annoying me as well, but
It is. It's very difficult. So what I suggest we do, I've just done a speed test on my end, and it seems absolutely fine bandwidth wise. So I'm really not sure. So I'm going to try changing the layout to see if it makes a difference when you're on a smaller screen. Is there less
okay.
delay now?
We still have that
There's
delay.
still we've still got the delay. I suggest then that we continue with the chat and then we reconvene in a couple of weeks and try it again with a more stable connection. What do you think?
I'm good either way. It's really
Yeah.
odd because 10 minutes ago it was
It was
always,
fine. Yeah, it was.
I don't know why. So
No.
after you, Simon, whatever you're the host.
Oh well, the people in the audience are saying that it's okay. So let's keep running with it. And at the end of the show, we can soon reconvene and bring you on again in a couple of weeks with a more stable connection. But I think we should carry on, Gideon.
Okay. So yeah, so basically, we've been, as I said, we've been running uh, for um for nearly a year as a bootstrap. We had a product which was running okay, and we start doing this initial installation on the customer side. And let's talk now about what is it that we do and how it works. So basically, the idea was that our solution is detecting in real time any phishing attack on the brand. And this is without the need to do anything else other than installing few codes that we provide on the website of the customer, on the portal, on the login page, or any important interaction pages with customers that require this protection. So once we are installed, we initially start with mapping all the customers that visiting the site. This is done automatically without any intervention, without the require to install anything on the end user end. So this is pure agentless in that respect. And once we are running and mapping the customers, basically we start detecting any attempt to do the following things. First, investigating your site. So any attempt to open developer tool as an example and investigating your site would be detected automatically, but not only detect automatically that this is happening, we will know who is doing that, from what station is it coming, from what location it's happening. Now, this is not a criminal act by definition, but this is something that will help us later on to identify maybe the some malicious activities coming from the same person, the same station, the same location. The next thing would be that if someone later on going to clone the site of the brand. So if I'm going to copy the website and I'm going to use this as a base for my phishing attack, that's going to be detected as well. It's going to be detected in real time. We will know that this is happening. It will be appearing on the dashboard of the brand. Then they will see this in real time. And again, this is not yet a criminal act, but it's yet one level further in the cycle of building a phishing attack. The third phase would be publishing that clone. So if I'm as the hacker, I'm going to use that copy and I'm going to publish this under a lookalike domain. Obviously, not the same domain, but lookalike domain. And I'm going to use it now. So at this point, we will detect this at the first minute it's published. The first user, the first end user who is going to be exposed to this. And not only we know that this is happening, we will know who are the end users that are exposed to this. We will know them by name and location because we know who are the customers of the brand. So, in this part, basically, the brand, the company, the enterprise will know in real time what's the magnitude of the attack, where it's happening, what's the source of the attack, who are the end users, the external end users that are being exposed to this. And at this point, we also have some action as well, because at this point, we have the way to distinguish between the bad actors and the legitimate users. Um, and having that in mind, we are able to protect and alert the end users in real time as well. So think about now a bank and the customers of the bank, and the customer of the bank visiting that impostor site of the bank. So he's going to be alerted in real time on his screen, telling with a kind of a red alert coming up and warning him that he is visiting now an imposter site. On the same
Can
time,
I ask a quick question,
yeah,
Gideon?
yeah.
Um, so a lot of the sites that we see come up are very short-lived fake sites that go live for maybe 10 minutes, steal data, and then disappear. Does your solution work for those as well?
Yeah, so normally this kind of attacks are based on phishing kits that were developed to automate the attack. So, because this is becoming kind of an automated way that you can define how long it's going to be up and running and what brand it's going to be addressing. So, phishing kits are using different methods to run the attack. One of the methods is that they are cloning on the fly the original site, changing a few things on it, make this look as the real site of the brand, and basically using this for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or even more. Within that period, we will detect this. We will know that it will appear on the dashboard. We will know that this attack is up and running. And if customers of the bank, in the example of the bank, are being exposed to this, we will know that as well, and we will report this into the dashboard of the bank.
Brilliant.
So continue from that point. And by the way, phishing kits are one method. Obviously, there are other methods as well, and we can go over this kind of verticals later on. But basically, we're covering most of the cases. Um, so once we have a phishing site running, and we know that, and we can alert the brand, and we can alert the end user. So we have this visibility, we have this protection in place. We know what's the source of the attack. We can trace back to the source of the attack. So we provide all the forensics of the attack as well. So everything here is basically covered. But what happens if, for whatever reason, the victim is going to ignore the alert? So he's going to close this warning message and he's going to proceed into the login page because he think that he is at the login page of the bank. It looks exactly the same. So in this case, we have some other actions in play, and these are the one that going to basically scrambled and mark the credentials of the victim once entered into the phishing site. And this is all done behind the scene. So even the victim is not aware that this is happening. So on the way, once enter into the login page on this imposter site, on the way to the bad actor on the other end, we basically changing, marking, and basically serving the bad actor different credentials than the original one entered. When this is happening, we don't know that this is happening because we have a certain code that is built, defined to not to show any activity whatsoever that this is happening. But once the bad actor is getting this marked and scrambled credentials, and he's going to try and use them on the authenticated side of the bank, at this point, we will detect this. So either the bad actor going to try this right away, or he's going to sell these credentials on the dark web, and a month from now, someone is going to try them. We will detect it in real time when someone is going to try them on the authenticated side of the bank. When this happens, we are able to serve and present to the bad actor different pages, different honeypots, and we can manipulate this session in any way we want. But ultimately, we have a way now to trace back to the hacker. We know where he's coming from what station he's doing this, and we have some other actions that we can take here in place.
That's brilliant, Gideon. Thank you. Do you I see a couple of comments in the chat. Jonathan in particular said that he'd love to see some visuals around this to sort of show the flows that you've got. Do you want to try doing your screen share again to see if we can get that up, Gideon?
Yeah, let me try 1 second.
I think either way, it's important that we get you back on with a stable connection to go through this again properly. So for those of you watching, we will reschedule this for a couple of weeks' time to make sure that you can all get to see the visuals and realize that Gideon isn't Max Headroom, if anyone can remember that program with the jerky presenter on there. There we go. Looks like Gideon can. Here we go. Got it. Yeah, here we are. Look, we've got that up. That's brilliant.
Yeah. Okay. So what we're looking at now, this is obviously a demo environment, on kind of a bank environment. These rockets that you see coming and running from one side to another basically represent a real attacks as they happening now. So we know what's the source, for instance, what is the source of each attack. But, so we know that this is a spoofer coming from a specific IP and so on. And we know what's the target users that are being exposed on what country and what location. And this is where we see, the top rank attack. This is not all the attack, but top rank one. Um, as I mentioned at the beginning, basically once we're installed, we start mapping all the end users that are visiting the site. We're providing, or we're creating automatically kind of an ID per each and every user who is visiting the site. And once this user is identified as a device ID from now on, we will have a lot of information relating to that user. But not only that, once the user going to log in to the bank account, let's say, like me here, this is Gideon, we're going to associate that name with the device ID. So from now on, every time we're going to see that device, we know that this is Gideon. Okay. This obviously there's a lot of technology behind that, and the bottom line here is that we're building kind of a profile of the customer, of the end user, right? And we know on later on we know what are the trusted devices that in this case Gideon is using. We will mark them as trusted, and anything which is going to be beyond that profile, any activity which is going to be beyond that is automatically going to be discovered, reported, alerted, and so on. Yeah, I see there is a question regarding GDPR and everything. So I would say that, yeah, we are GDPR compliant. That user field that you see here is in production, is fully encrypted. We, Memcyco, we don't have any visibility on this. Only the customer has the decryption key, and this is the only PII information that basically will need to be encrypted. Other than that, if we talk about regulation, we comply with top ISO regulation required, like 27001, 27017, and 27018, which are cloud and data certificates. And by mid of this year, we're going to be SOC 2 Type 2 compliant as well.
Brilliant. Thank you, Gideon.
So,
So next question, I suppose we should answer it, seeing as you just answered Jonathan's first one. So are you considered a data processor or a sub-processor?
so we are not a data processor. We're a sub processor.
Yeah.
So anything, we are a SaaS provider. So anything is stored on the cloud. We're using Amazon, AWS
Yeah.
for that. Each and every client is getting, its own tenant, and basically it's fully secured, and it's up to the customer whether he wants us to be involved, or he can run everything by himself without having us even seeing anything that I'm showing you here. So
And
basically,
how have you found it with your first clients that you've taken on, Gideon? Have they wanted to take ownership of that, or have they been happy for you to do it?
so the initial installations, we were involved because it was kind of a POC at the beginning.
Yeah.
But I can tell that now that we have nearly 50 customers, and I'm talking about big customers like banks, insurance companies, e-commerce companies. Um, with all of them, they want us to be involved because we provide some extra knowledge and services, and one of which are takedown services as well. So think about this now as a full end-to-end solution. We are detecting the imposter side. We will start at this point also the takedown process. And in the same time, while we're working on the takedown, we are detecting who are the end user being exposed. We are protecting them. We are alerting them. We provide you as a customer with all these details. Once the imposter site was taken down, I believe my video now is okay, right?
It's fine. It's fine. I think it was a resolution issue when you were really big on the screen. So let's
Yeah,
keep it like this, right?
let's keep me small. It's good for me. So basically, once we taking down the imposter site, and this is very important point, people think or tend to think that once the imposter site is down, the attack is over. But eventually, the attack is not over because within this window of exposure, we call it, between detection and takedown, the hacker or the bad actor managed to harvest many credentials.
Yeah.
These credentials are going to be used after the takedown anyway. So the attack is not over as long as these credentials are out there. And this is what Memcyco provides as well, because we cover that leg as well, because we know when someone is going to try and compromise these credentials on the authenticated side. And we know where it's coming with all the details, as I explained earlier.
Just a quick question, seeing as you mentioned the word hacker. I don't know if this is relevant or not, but you mentioned at the start, I think you install, your terminology was a nano defender
Yeah.
on the site. What happens if a bad actor removes that nano defender?
Okay. That's a good question. So basically, we have kind of a fallback position for each and every scenario. Okay. So we have a code that's going to be embedded into the website, but we also have other codes. We call it nano defenders. And these codes are planted and embedded in different shape and forms, different ways into the site, in which some cannot be discovered and are fully silent. So you don't see any activity around this. And the purpose of this code is really to listen if one of the codes is being stripped out in any way. And if it does, then it's getting into action, but it's not going to reproduce the code that was deleted. It's going to run from the way or the place it's installed. So if I'm installed this Nano Defender in certain places, we're not going to go into too much details here, but in certain places, we're going to resume the operation from these places. We're not going to recover any code that is going to be deleted. So it's kind of a very tricky, very sophisticated, that we build this in a way that help us also to manipulate the hacker. So basically, the idea is that um, at very early stage, we can distinguish between the bad actor and the legitimate user. And if we can distinguish at very early stage, we know what's to serve and what not to serve to each one of them. So think about it. If I'm a bad actor and I don't see any sign whatsoever of something happening, even in the back end of the clone that I just make, then I will proceed and I will continue. So we have a different ways to protect our technology, and we do this in a very smart way as well.
That sounds very good. And if any hackers are watching, I think you've just laid down the gauntlet for a challenge there, Gideon.
Yeah, maybe we will kind of kick off a game like this, a
That'd be
hackathon.
a great idea, wouldn't it? Yeah, that would be a great idea. Do you mind if I ask another quick question?
Go
So
ahead.
for me, I spent nearly 30 years, which ages me massively in financial services, and I can see that this fits in really nicely to financial services type environments. Does it work? Is it as effective, I suppose, is the question, across other industries?
Yeah, so at the beginning we were thinking what industry would be our target market, okay? And eventually we came up to the conclusion that any industry that has online presence, right? Online presence with that require any kind of transaction between the end user and the brand is a potential customer for us because in terms of the hackers, and maybe Jonathan Van Houten is one of them who is going to challenge us. But
I thought he was more professional than that these days, but maybe I got you wrong, Doctor Van Houten.
yeah, yeah, maybe it's a white hat one. So
Maybe.
um, anyway, the idea was that these are the look, I like this. So anyway, the idea was that any login page or any payment page is potential target for the bad actors to compromise and eventually is to do account takeover, right? So what bad actors are looking is to steal identities and steal money, right? So either they steal your credit card, bank account numbers, whatever, or they steal your identity because they can use this on a different location as well. And these are the two, I would say, areas on which our customers are looking mainly to protect. Okay.
What about so use case that I've just thought of, considering the UK and the US both have probably one of the most controversial election years in history, if not recent history this year. We live in a world driven by fake news, I think is the terminology that people use. And as a society, we only read headlines now rather than actually read whole articles and base our opinions on that. Is there a use case for this for media outlets then to verify that the source of news that you're reading is real? Or have I got this completely wrong?
So it's not it's not on our roadmap, because we're dealing mainly on, identities and login and transactions and so on. But we're going to expand into the social media as well. So on our roadmap, we have a plan to expand our solution and to include social media coverage, on which if you have the fake pages or fake ads or anything related that attack your brand through social media, we will have a way to detect this, to protect this, and to provide all the information. And we also, by the way, some of our customers are asking us to do some kind of takedowns on social media as well, which we do. So
Okay.
we also have that in place. But in terms of detection, it's by the end of this year, we're going to have this in place as well.
Brilliant. And I suppose while I'm while I'm on the question asking journey, you've talked a lot about protecting customers' data. What about the employees of the companies as well as the customers?
Yeah, basically it's a interesting point, and we came across this when we start meeting with big enterprises that start using our technology. They acknowledge the value of this technology. So they said, okay, if you can do this for external users, maybe you can do this for the internal one as well. And when it comes to the internal one, we speak about single sign-on. One of the major fears that we hear from CISOs and CTOs is that if one can trick an employee, that he can click on a link and see, as he logging into the single sign-on page of the brand, then if we can do this, if someone can do this, basically can steal the credentials to log into all the application in the organization.
Wow.
So that was kind of a challenge, and let me see if I can maybe share this as an
Yeah, let
example.
me bring this comment up while you're doing that. Pat said, "Imagine how incredible this would be to defeat fake users," and I'm with you on that, Pat. I think that's a marvelous idea.
Yeah, let me
Oh,
try.
you're big again, and you're not glitching, Gideon.
Now I feel better. I was kind of getting kind of a headache looking at myself, nodding
It's hard work, isn't it? Yeah.
in, in a slow motion. Yeah, that was.
I think we should definitely. I know we've got into the weeds of it a little bit, but I think we should definitely get you back on in a couple of weeks' time to do this again, because there's been a lot of interest from the audience in seeing how this works in more detail. So let's
Yeah,
cover off a little bit more now, but let's make sure we bring you back on to
yeah.
cover it off. Here we go.
So let me share with this as an example. So what we're looking at now, this is a kind of a login page. We were talking about the workforce, right? The employees. So think about this as the login page to your single sign-on within the organization, right? And in this case, in this example, by the way, for this demo, I'm using Okta as the
Okay.
login page, right? So behind that, this is a customized page of Memcyco as an example. That behind that, it's based on Okta platform. So if I can trick someone that to believe that he's going to get into this page, but it's going to be the enforced page of Okta, then I can steal his credentials, and these are very valuable one. So for that, we have a solution, and what you're looking at here is basically the a digital watermark that we developed. So that digital watermark is unique to each and every employee, and it's automatically generated, and randomly created with a unique key, like cookie 123. This is my unique key. No one in the world will have the same thing. Remember, this is just a demo environment, so
Yeah.
don't, don't think that you can take that one. But you see this rotating pyramid running on the background. So this combination, basically, for me, every time I'm getting into this login page of Okta, I'm going to see this. And only I can recognize this because this is unique to me. And it stays and stores on my browser only and does not go over the internet or the intranet.
Yeah.
So for me, it's indication. This is confirmation. But what happens if um, I'm going to build an importer site of that page, like you see here? So that one is exactly the same page. And as you can see, when I'm getting into that page, I'm now the employee and I'm getting into that page. I'm going to be alerted in real time. This is our code. But not
Yeah.
only that, I'm not going to see the watermark, the digital watermark. So for me, it's kind of a two-layer of protection, not seeing the watermark, but also being warned in real time. So this is for the employees, and we have some customers that you know adopting this as well.
It's very good. And Jonathan agrees, visuals help. He asked a quick question actually a little while ago. Where is it? Let me get that back up. He asked if it captures login information, does it also capture escalation of privileges?
No, so
Okay.
we are not getting any information. We are not keeping or storing or capturing passwords or any other means of credentials other than the username, right? So if the username is a number or an email or a phone number, we will capture this and we will associate this with the device ID that I show you
Okay.
earlier. Um, okay, so we talk about external users, we talk about internal users. Um, and basically, this warning message that you see here, it's the same as if, let me try and bring this up now. Oh, I need to share again. So if I'm using um, this example of MCO Bank, right? This
Yeah.
is the authenticated brand,
Yeah, with the watermark, the actual
with the
site. Yeah.
watermark, yeah, and everything is here. So same goes on that side with the imposter one, which looks exactly the same. Let me bring this up. So it looks exactly the same. I'm as an end user, if I'm going to get into MCO Bank, but this is not the real MCO Bank. This is
Brilliant.
the MMCO Bank, as you can see. I'm going to be alerted. This alert going to be presented on the dashboard in real time, so the bank will know that in real time. The end user is being exposed, be alerted, and if I'm going to proceed here, I'm not going to run this now, but if I'm going to put my username and password, remember this scrambling
And
and
it scrambles it before it submits. That's brilliant.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's
Because
going
you're always going to get someone who ignores those warnings, right? We know that.
exactly, exactly. So yeah, so it's very and we do have a lot of other features coming on. Um, because when we look at where we stand as a company, so basically we are in the um, digital trust area. If you look
Yeah.
at Gartner, how they categorize this market, so we are falling into this space of digital trust, and we are growing there. We have on our roadmap, we have more. Um, features, capabilities. And let me, maybe, I don't know if we have time, but let me just share one more
Of course.
story.
Yeah, no, we've definitely got time. I mean, for me, I love the focus on customers because I think the whole industry doesn't do that. And we all know the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And I just think this is absolutely genius, Gideon, that you're really helping the customers there as well. Sorry, were you going to share your screen, weren't you?
Yeah. So, yeah, let me just say, let me share again. So let me just say that one of our biggest customer, which is a bank, obviously I cannot disclose the name,
No, of course.
it's in North America. It's one of the biggest customer. We have about, think about here. You have this device list. You have 1,500 devices mapped because this is a demo environment. In
Yeah.
that bank, we have 35 million devices mapped. So this
My
is
goodness.
real production. Now, the story behind that is that within this use case I'm sharing with you now, we are capturing, let me go back here. So we are capturing all the attempts of multiple credentials or credential stuffing, right? So, meaning, if I think I mentioned this at the beginning. So if I'm using or if I obtained a list of credentials from the dark web, and let's say these are related to MCO Bank on this example. Now, if I'm going to try them on through my machine, this is going to be detected in real time. We're going to have a list of all the credentials. Let me see if I can show you here. It's going to be not obviously a real example. This is all going to be kind of all type of example. So I'm going to pick up the credential stuffing. And basically what we see here, that device that came from that IP has visited MCO Bank, the authenticated bank, and let's assume that all of these garbage characters here are real credentials, okay? And this means that me as the bad actor now, I'm trying this on the authenticated website, and I'm trying to log in through this stolen credentials. In real time, we detect this. In real time, we feed this information through an API to the risk and fraud system of the bank. The
Brilliant.
bank get this in real time and cross-check this data with some other parameters they have, and they can swiftly take actions. They can cancel the credit card of the customers, they can stop the account, they can do many things, but they do this immediately. And one of the things that we were kind of shocked to learn, and obviously I'm kind of generalizing here, is that many banks are buying on a dark web through proxies. They buying this list, so they buy
No.
this compromise list, and they have teams that sit on that list and going to analyze and see if there is anyone on that list who is the customer, which is a customer of the bank. And if they find one, then they will escalate this and start the process of checking whether there was any compromise or whatever the situation is. That was kind of a manual work that
That's a
took,
lot of work.
yeah. And what we're getting back now, that these banks are saving millions since they start using us, because they no longer buying this list in one hand. On the other hand, they detect things in real time, so they don't need to reimburse or
Of
compensate
course. Yeah.
the customer. And as a result of that, they are saving millions. I can tell, again, without disclosing any names here, that the ROI of our solution to one of the banks that bought us for 3 years term was 2 months ROI. So think about it.
Wow.
They returned their investment in 2 months and they paid for 3 years. So that's a great things. And by the way, we are learning a lot from our customers as well. So
I
some of
bet.
which are becoming kind of design partners. So they're feeding us with more ideas, more features, and this is happening all the time.
It's really exciting stuff. Is there a demo online that anyone can go to look at, or is it something that they book in with you directly?
Yeah, so no demo online, but they can book definitely. So they can visit, Memcyco website, drop a note, and or take this QR, and we will
If
be
you're
more.
if you're brave enough, if you're brave enough to scan the QR, that will take you through to the website. But I've also put a link to Memcyco's website in the description on the chat. I'm sorry, on the description of this on YouTube, and I'm now dropping in the chat the link to the channel as well for anyone who wants to check it out.
Yeah.
Um,
One,
anything? What would you like to close up on, Gideon? Because we're pretty much out of time. Is there anything you want to
yeah,
cover off before we wrap up?
one last thing, which I did not mention. Eventually, regulations are coming into play as well. So we have now in previous year and this year we have more kind of strict regulation to many in the financial sector that require them to be in a position to detect who of their customers being exposed, how to protect their customers, and so on and so forth. So this is something that help us as a company because eventually we have now more companies, more enterprises approaching Memcyco just because of that, just because of the regulation. So yeah, it's all coming together, and I could speak one more hour, but we have a time limit
Well, I
here.
think what we should do, what I'm going to do, if it's okay with you, is I'm also going to drop your LinkedIn profile in the chat. If anyone who was watching or anyone who watches on the replay would like to connect with you, please do reach out to Gideon through this. But for me, we need to get you back in when the connection's more stable in a couple of weeks and go through this again. I've already thought of 5 or 6 people who I've been talking to over the last few weeks who'd be really interested in this. So if you could hold on just for 2 minutes after I've wrapped things up so I can have a quick chat with you and maybe do a couple of introductions. But Gideon, it's been fascinating. I knew from the first moment I saw this that it was going to be a game changer in the industry. I'm excited to see it grow and to see it develop as you add more features. On-stream demo. Yes, Prashant, I think that's exactly what we should do next time. We'll shorten the first bit a little bit and we'll just come straight on and do a proper demo for everyone to see. And then, you never know, you could then use that demo for yourselves afterwards. But Gideon, thank you so much for taking the time to come on. Everyone who's been watching, thank you for the questions. Thank you for the humor. And thank you for bearing with us through the technical problems. And any wise words before we go, Gideon?
No, I think thank you all. We'll be more than happy to get any questions directly with us, and we would be happy to meet, present, and introduce our technology.
Brilliant. Gideon, thank you so much. Everyone, have a great rest of the day or rest of the evening, depending on where you are in the world. And I'll see you all next week. Take
Thank
care.
you. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.